Okay, so in my previous video, I talked about all the new changes coming in the recent patch, and I'm very, very excited about it. But in this video, I want to talk about all the 42 brand new legendary items and which classes are getting a massive W and which ones aren't. By the way, spoiler, Wizard and Demon Hunter are getting absolutely effed in this content. I mean, they just aren't getting good essences for their pre-existing builds, and their builds that they're trying to buff are ones that nobody uses. But there are some massive winners in terms of different classes. So sorry if you're a Wizard or a Demon Hunter, but everyone else could be in good shape. Let's go and take a look. All right, so like I said, 42 new legendary items. So Barbarian, this one I was actually really excited about because I've been very vocal about Barbarian needing a buff, especially when it comes to single target. Obviously, the developers agree with me. I am not sponsored. I am not part of their content crew or anything like that. So I did not tell them this. This is just them having their own opinion. We just happen to have the same one. So W's in chat. But so main hand lacerate attack speed is increased by 35% for 2 seconds each time you take damage. I'm not in love with that. I'm going to be honest, not in love with it. Offhand, Wrath of the Berserker now causes you to retaliate, dealing damage to nearby enemies when you are attacked. Again, not loving this combination because like you have to be attacked and like ideally you don't take damage. That's kind of the point, but it gets better. So Helmet, Wrath of the Berserker now also causes your primary attacks to deal 100% of the damage done to nearby enemies. Okay, we're getting somewhere. I like that a little bit. So chess, your primary attacks now increase the remaining duration of Sunder on enemies they strike by 1 second up to a maximum of 3 seconds. Okay, all right, not bad. Shoulders, Wrath of Berserker now also causes your primary attacks to consume your life, dealing additional damage with each strike. Ah, now we're talking. So the reason I wasn't a fan of these first two is because it made you take damage, but now you're causing damage to yourself by also doing additional damage as long as you manage your health, which is totally fine considering you're getting 100% more damage. So yeah, we're going to take that W. So the reason that this main hand and offhand are now going to be good is that if you get the shoulders that cause you to take damage. So now in a raid dynamic or a dungeon where you're already dodging most damage ideally, now you're gonna be able to cause damage to yourself, which also gives you additional damage. But now you can activate your main hand and your new offhand. I like this a lot. And then Pants Sunder now pulls enemies into you. This is good for like PvP in my opinion. And then even the developer note says the Barbarian's legendary items aim to bolster your single target and sustain damage by using primary attacks. Lacerate and Wrath of the Berserker form the core of the combos, allowing all of your primary attacks to strike nearby enemies for additional damage. So, it kind of contradicts themselves here when they're like, yeah, let's make it single target damage better. But then it's like for additional nearby enemies. So, I mean, which one is it? You can't do both, but I do think you can do both, and especially in Inferno 1 and above, with this main hand offhand combination with some of the other main hand offhands for Barbarian, and with these shoulders, I think you can actually have a pretty disgusting build for the Barbarian. I look forward to actually going back to the Barbarian. I was going to go back to the Necro, but because this build is coming back so soon, or like this, update's coming so soon, I might actually jump back to the Barbarian since I got pretty like torched for not liking the Barbarian in my recent videos. But hopefully these new essences will help with that, and then I can change my opinion because man, y'all are passionate people. Blood Knight, this one's actually hella cool and I'm looking forward to it. Also, this is going to make it probably S tier, by the way. So main hand, Shadow's Edge damage increased by 20%. God, just flat 20% buff. Damn, that's good. Shroud of Night now conjures 2 immobile shadowy apparitions that utilize your primary attack to assault nearby enemies. So they're immobile, which means they can't move. So in high mobility fights, they're not gonna be that great. If you can keep 100% uptime on it, like you can in Shroud of Night in general with a different combination, this could be good. So there's a combination where you can basically have Shroud of Night up all the time. That's what I usually do for my main damage for the Blood Knight when it comes to raids. So this could be a good replacement for that chess piece where there's only 2 chess pieces now that buff Shroud of Night, and they basically do similar things. One affects just you and the other one affects the whole party. I think the one that affects the whole party is the better of the two, if I remember correctly. But this one could be a third option that is even better than both, depending on this part. The immobile part is what I'm kind of concerned by, because if the boss moves at all, or whatever you're attacking moves at all, like which primary attack does it have? Does it have the Shadow's Edge that can attack from close and kind of medium range, or does it have the other one that can only attack close by? Because then if they can't move and they move and the target moves and you kind of just wasted a whole skill slot and essence slot. So that'll be interesting to play with. But this is where it gets kind of cool too. So Mephitic Cloud releases a blood red mist to choke enemies to death. Good lord, that's intense. Continually dealing damage to enemies within the area while also increasing your damage done while you remain inside. That sounds sick. So it chokes them to death. So like, choke me, daddy. Whoa, what? Anyway, moving on. But then it also makes you do more damage. So it does damage over time, I assume, because it chokes them enemies to death. Continual damage, there it is. So it does dot damage, but then it also makes you do more damage, which is pretty sick. And then depending on the uptime of Mephitic Cloud, there's already some pretty interesting essences that tie to this. So I'm actually really excited to test this helmet out. Eek. All right, so I'm probably going to stay on the Blood Knight until this comes out. Offhand Shadow's Edge also increases your primary attack speed by 10% for 2 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. This is good. I like this a lot. Shadow's Edge with this main hand and offhand combination is now going to be really, really good. And there's already 2 different offhands that are very good as well. One of them marks it and does additional damage. That's the one you're going to want to keep. And then the other one makes it so you shoot off 2 additional like ricocheting blades from your Shadow's Edge. You're just going to drop that one and use this one instead, basically. Shoulders, swarm of bats now causes a small swarm of bats to circle you. When you use a primary attack, a bat swoops down and bites enemies. So the damage of this one is really going to dictate if you use it or not, because this is the one where you have 2 different options pre-existing for the swarm of bats. One of them, it turns you sort of invulnerable for a second and you move with it and gives you the speed buff. I always say boof. And then the other swarm of bats buff is the one that they just sort of circle around you, also used usually with the pants that make you do the poison damage. That's what most people do for their builds. So this could be interesting, especially if you tie it with the pants. Do we get any fun pants yet? Oh, we haven't got to the pants yet. So this could be interesting. So especially depending on how much that bite does and if it still does the damage over time and does it stack with the poison and all that kind of stuff. So lots of questions there with the build, but these shoulders are probably going to be best in slot for your dungeon and your raid builds, along with the offhand and main hand. So, and then this chest piece could be best in slot depending on how long it lasts and the immobileness of the shadowy apparitions. And then the helmet and these pants that we're getting ready to talk about are where it gets kind of interesting. I think that'll be a more specific build, probably for single target. But yeah, let's talk about it. So Mephitic Cloud also increases your primary attack speed by 30%. Damn. So it really is going to depend, and then these are pants, so you're going to lose the poison or the healing that you would typically have on for your swarm of bats. And then the chest piece is the one that usually you can use just to buff your shadow, your bats or your shroud of night. So all things very interesting. I like this. I mean, basically this whole build could be really, really good. Let's see what the developer's note says. So Blood Knights gain increased power through their primary attack, Shadow's Edge, with a multitude of primary attack speed and damage increases. They can slice through enemies in quick order. So Blood Knight already did phenomenal in multi-target fights and with like a bunch of different people attacking all at the same time, a lot of AoE damage. Now they're focusing on a build that's just single target, and that's going to make them so good in raids. So I'm looking forward to I guess staying on my Blood Knight until I get these new essences. So that'll be fun. Going to Crusader, I was actually kind of excited about Crusader as well. So Crusader, the pants drawn quarter now causes you to mount your warhorse and dash forward a short distance, knocking back enemies in your path. You can activate drawn quarter again while you remain mounted. I don't love that. I don't love that at all. Shoulders, Fist of Heaven's cooldown is reduced by 20% when you kill an enemy with it, and by additional 20% if you kill a player with it. So 40% cooldown reduced by Fist of the Heavens when you kill a player in PvP. Cannot occur more often than once per cast. Okay. I mean, maybe. I don't remember all the shoulders offhand that you get for the Crusader. Offhand, Condemned deals 20% increased damage to enemies below 50% maximum health. Okay, could be good. Chest, Condemned now conjures a condensed lightning storm that follows you, randomly dealing damage to nearby enemies. I like this a lot, especially as a farm build for the Crusader, because basically you do drawn quarter, activate Condemn, and then just run around and just do a bunch of damage. Main hand Falling Sword can now be charged, unleashing a holy blast blast wave to damage enemies. While charging, your movement speed is increased, and you are also immune to knockback and loss of control effects. The further you travel while charging, the attack also increases the damage it deals. That's interesting. So that's more of like a ramp up effect. So the longer you hold it and the farther you go, the more damage you're going to do. So that's pretty interesting. helmet, and this is a really kind of interesting spot when it comes to the Crusader, because obviously banner is like the helmet to use, or the one that buffs banner, so it goes with you. So Sacred Chain now also causes the first attacks against chained enemies to deal 60% increased damage. Wow. Still though. All right, so developers note the Crusader's legendary items are aimed to help bolster the class's ability to execute the unworthy. Okay. Falling Sword turns into an unstoppable knight. Turns you into an unstoppable knight bent on delivering justice. Condemn arcs lightning at nearby enemies, dealing bonus damage to those near death. That's true if you combine the two. That's true. Very true, very true. Offhand and chest. That's true. Yeah, you could do 20% increased damage when they're below 50% health, which is also going to help with your farming. Especially if this like actually follows you and isn't on top of you. Or, you know what I mean? Like where you do a ton of damage with your drawn quarter and then you have the storm behind you. Use drawn quarter to dash at your enemies and close the gap, or to prevent escapes. Sacred Changes can also play support to lock down enemies and provide setup for huge bursts of damage. I don't necessarily agree with that last part, but it's fine. Demon Hunters, man, sorry, you guys got L'd, and I mean absolutely L'd. All of these suck. I am not, like, after being on the Demon Hunter recently, I am not excited for any of these. Let's go and look at it though. So dancing in place, the pants knife trap now becomes a snare trap. When triggered, the snare trap deals damage to all nearby enemies while immobilizing them and preventing the use of a dash skill for 3 seconds. I will never use it. Main hand. Sentry can now upgrade up to 3 times when placed nearby other sentries, increasing the damage they deal by up to 200% and reducing the damage they take by up to 66.7. Weird percentage. Feels like you should have gone with 66.6 to go with like the whole health, theme, but whatever. I mean, that's a shit ton of damage. 200% more damage for basically stacking your sentries could be really good in PvE. Obviously not going to be good in PvP, but I just can't help but like wonder. I guess it depends, like on the combination you're using with your 2 main hands now in Inferno 1 or above, and if you can still do a ton of damage with your primary attacks and then also activate your sentries. I still don't love it, but they want the knife trap. They want the knife trap to work so bad. So shoulders, knife trap cooldown decreased by 15%. I mean, you could have made that 50. I couldn't care less. Chest, knockback shot can now be charged, firing a condensed blast of hatred, dealing damage to enemies in its path. Charging longer increases the range and damage. You're never going to use this compared to the other one that just adds it to your primary attacks. So sorry for that. Feels like a waste. Helm, escape now also leaves caltrops behind, slowing and damaging enemies within the area while also preventing the use of dash skills. What the fuck is that? Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to use it. Sentry, offhand. Sentry now also consumes 5% of your current life to apply a shield to the sentry equal to 30% of its maximum life. While the shield holds, the sentry also deals 10% increased damage. I mean, offhand and main hand for your sentry. These are the only two that I could be interested in. How long do the sentries last? I don't love it. I don't love the sentry builds. I've never tried it, so I guess I should try, but what does the developer note say? The Demon Hunter's legendary items are tailored to improve defense and summon-oriented gameplay, utilizing sentries to build a network of turrets that increase in power with each turret placed. Use knockback shot and knife trap to control enemies so they can't escape your sentry fire. Then use the escape kill as a layer of safety to protect you while... No. That doesn't sound like fun gameplay. Like, whatever. I'll have to try it. This is like one of the classes I will probably... the last one I'll go back to since I just finished maxing out the Essence Mastery for it. But I'm not excited about anything but the one main hand and one offhand. And then seeing if I can still do a ton of damage with my primary attacks while buffing my sentries. So I don't know, man. I don't like where they're trying to go with the Demon Hunter. If you guys are Demon Hunter mains, let me know if I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I don't claim to be a Demon Hunter master. I just have been on it a lot recently, and that doesn't feel like a play style that I personally would enjoy. Like the whole summoning thing, like if I want to play with summons, I'm gonna play with Necro, especially after the buff they just gave to the Necro in this patch. So I don't know. Let me know what Demon Hunter thinks, what you guys think in the comments below. Generally, you guys have agreed with me in my other videos when I talk about Demon Hunter and what I like and what I don't like. So I'll be really curious what you guys think about that. Let's go to the Monk next. So the chest, Cyclone Strike now creates a torrent of mystic wind around you, dealing damage to nearby enemies. So keep in mind with this, this is a very clear path that they want you to play with a Monk. And it really goes well with existing stuff. So the chest piece will now create basically a wind. Okay, so we got the wind. Helmet, exploding palm now also increases your damage by 10% for 4 seconds. Nothing crazy there. Main hand, Shield of Zen now protects you or an ally with a shield of flames that absorb damage and also deal damage to nearby enemies, but is no longer provides immunity to loss and control effects, which is fine. I don't give a shit about that. But basically, with this chest piece and this main hand, you will now have the ability of having a firestorm effect without having to cast something or auto attack. So basically you get a free firestorm around you because of the chest piece and this main hand, and then there's other Shield of Zen buffs you can do to the head that increase the duration or other things. I don't know. Either way, this is really exciting because basically you can have a whole build with just 2 pieces that give you the firestorm around you, and then also do the other, I think it's God, what is it? It's either a main hand or offhand that summons the 2 fiery like people to fight with you, and then you could do additional stuff with that. Like there's a lot of really cool builds that are coming with the monk, and that actually is really exciting to me. So shoulders, when flying kick knocks an enemy into the wall, they are stunned for 2 seconds. Good for PvP, nothing else. Pants, flying dragon, maximum charges increased by 1. Okay. Obstruction, whatever. Offhand, exploding palm now dashes forward, burning enemies. That one could be fun. Could be fun. But it even says in the developer's notes, the monk's legendary items synergize to create opportunities for firestorms to overwhelm enemies, apply different burn effects to your foes, and use Cyclone Strike and Shield of Zen to deal damage to enemies that get too close. I love it. I honestly like that. This is a play style that is very appealing to me for both PvE and PvP. I think this sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a really good farm build. You get some mobility with the offhand there. So yeah, I think this is gonna be a lot of fun. And then if you combine the offhand, the helmet, in the main hand and the chest, I mean, that's just so much fire and mobility. And then you get some flexibility. You could use either different shoulders or pants. Yeah, I love that. I love that a lot, actually. Super cool. So Necro is another one that got some pretty awesome buffs. There were some people that when I did my class comparison video, best of the best class in my tier list, that again kind of agreed with most things that I said, but did feel like Necro needed that felt like it was going to get a nerf soon. And then some people wanted it completely rebuilt. This one I feel like sticks really closely to the bread and butter of why you're probably playing the Necro, which is to buff your minions. So let's jump straight into it. Your chest, Bonewall now conjures the altar of the dead, increasing your damage while you remain in the area. Okay, so this is now a buff that you're getting from your chest piece. Decent slot for that. Pants, Bonewall now also protects nearby summons, reducing the damage they take from monsters by 20% and players by 70%. I would never recommend that in PvE. Could be good. 70% damage reduction for your summons in PvP could be good. Borrow time? Oh, that's the new one. Okay, borrow time now also increases the damage and critical hit chance of the target by 5%. This effect is doubled during the duration of the curse if the target is slain. So you do increased damage and critical hit chance by 5%. Dang. So this is the one that keeps you alive. It basically makes you, come back to life. That's even better. That's crazy. Their PvP build is going to be insane for the Necro. Horn's Helm. So command Golem's presence bolsters the power of your nearby summons, increasing the damage they deal by 10% as long as they remain near the Golem. This is good as for a summons build, obviously. It's just going to depend on how close they have to be. Yeah, but I mean, either way, it's still going to be good. Main hand, when command skeleton dies, they grant nearby allies 20% increased attack speed for 3 seconds. Offhand, skeletal mage now summons a dark magus that unleashes hungering soulfire at nearby enemies. Interesting. So basically a new mage. I wonder what it looks like too. So the developer's notes: minions get some additional love with the new skeletal mage and the summon golem becoming a commander to bolster its nearby undead friends. Bonewall can now be used to protect your minions, allowing them to stand toe-to-toe against more dangerous monsters and players alike. Those of you who like to throw your skeletal warriors to an explosive death can now increase the attack speed of your nearby allies as well. I think there's a lot of cool synergy here with the new summon builds, because again, it's sort of like the bread and butter of why you play Necromancers for your summons, and now you basically can double down on that. So that seems cool to me. Wizard, this is the other class that got the L, guys, and it's one of my favorites. So offhand, electrocutes critical hits and mobilize enemies for 2 seconds, cannot occur on the same target more often than once every 3 seconds. Damn. So once it's hit, I wonder, well, actually that could be good in PvP, if it's saying if it lasts for 2 seconds and there's only a 1 second downtime, or is the 3 second counter start after they're already stunned? then it's 5 seconds. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Ray of Frost now dissipates into a cloud of frost against the first enemy it hits, dealing damage and chilling all nearby enemies. Ray of Frost now dissipates into a cloud of frost. Okay. I mean, does it mean that it, like, as you channel it, it turns into it? Or is it like you shoot it and then it turns into a frost? I don't know. That'll be interesting. I don't think it's good. It's just different. Frost Field, which is that new skill that we got, now also shatters enemy armor, increasing the damage they take by 10% for 5 seconds. That is good for PvP. Ray of Frost critical hit chance is increased by 35% against frozen enemies. Ray of Frost critical hit chance is increased by 35% against. Okay, I mean, that's good if you're going for like a pure ice build. All right. Main hand slow time decreased by 15%. Cooldown decreased by 50%. Helm. That's a main hand? That seems weird. That seems really weird. Slow time now releases a temporal ring that expands out from your location, incapacitating enemies struck by the ring for a few seconds or until they take damage. I don't love that. Developers notes the Wizard's legendary items pack a variety of time manipulation magic to slow and control your enemy's position and movement. Manipulator's Mask also contains a new keyword, incapacitate. If I can read it, incapacitate. It represents effects that cause enemies to be rooted in place and unable to perform actions, but the effect ends once they take damage. Keep an eye out for this keyword and future skills and other effects. I feel like the biggest losers in this update in terms of new essences are the Wizard and the Demon Hunter by far. The ones that excite me the most are definitely going to be the Monk for sure, the Blood Knight, and then maybe the Barbarian. Only because I've been roasting the Barbarian for so long. I feel like the Crusader is a good update. Like, Crusaders are probably going to enjoy this, I would assume. Demon Hunters, I'd love your feedback. Blood Knights, that's a massive W. Barbarian, I like, if I were to rank it, I feel like the number one winner of all these essences is going to be the Monk, then the Blood Knight, and then the Barbarian, but mainly because I want to get back on it to test this build out to see how much single target damage it actually does now, which we can test with the new training grounds. And I talked about this in my previous video. I will link it right over above me. It'll be above me, so click on that video if you haven't already seen it. And if not, lock it in. I'll see you next time. Take it easy.